What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I still have not named this channel, but when I do, it's gonna be kick-ass. Maybe that's the name. This channel has everything to do with business, entrepreneurship, and finance. So whether it's saving on loans, whether it has to do with your credit cards, or using credit card miles and points to book travel, overall, better financial freedom and sustainability. So today I'm gonna bring up a topic that for some reason when it comes up, it usually can get very heated, whether to buy a car or lease a car. I think the reason that this conversation tends to get a little aggressive sometimes is if you disagree with the other side, they're taking as you're accusing them of making a poor financial decision, which you can interpret as being, dumb or irresponsible. It's not the case. Buying or leasing a car, there isn't one right way or a wrong way. What gets you more value in the long run and what makes more sense for you? Now, me, I'm a little biased. I'm much more as a lease guy. The reason being is if you're the type of person to get a car every 2 to 3 years, a lease definitely makes more sense. The reason being is you're never gonna be upside down on that car when you're going to bring it in for your next. Meaning if you have a lease and your payment is $250 a month on that lease, 2 to 3 years, you go into your dealer, get your new car, it's usually gonna be around the same price, and you're walking out the door with another car. Whilst if that car was financed, and you're paying that same $250, but you have interest carried on that $250, let's say that car you owed $10,000 on during your trade-in, however, it's only worth $8,000. Therefore, you owe more money than the car is worth of $2,000, which would get carried over to your next loan, and this is a never-ending process. Yeah, I know you can argue there's some cars that hold their value or go up in value, but for the most part, they're not. So let's just stick with regular cars for regular people. So let's start with the Leasing Pros. With Leasing Pros, one of the more key factors of this is gonna be a lower upfront cost. With a lease, you're not really going through a bank to guarantee a loan, which needs more collateral. Also, another thing I wanted to address with leases, they usually have much better warranties where everything's covered. And when I mean everything, you could bring that car in for an oil change or have fluids flushed, and a lot that's gonna be included. And if it's not, it's much more easier to negotiate that into your deal when you're doing a lease. Also, another huge benefit, but this depends on which state you're in, so do your research on your own. There's usually no upfront sales tax. Now, when we're getting into either $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 for a car, sales tax up front is definitely something you need to consider, which brings me back to the point of having a much more affordable upfront expense. On top of that, another amazing feature with a lease is you're gonna have much lower payments. Now to talk about the cons. These cons are actually the pros for financing. You're limited to your mileage. So even if you do get a car every 2 or 3 years, if you're the type of person that's driving that car 20, 30,000 miles a year, a lease is out of the question for you. A lease is usually given between 20 cents per mile all the way up to $1.20 per mile, which is absolutely insane. So anything you go over on at the end of your lease, you're gonna have to go ahead and pay per mileage. That con would be a pro for having a financed car. Personally, why I could not lease is because the insurance. The insurance requires much higher restrictions. It varies per state. Here you need more bodily liability insurance along with damage insurance. Doing the math on it, for me being under 25 years of age, my insurance premium would actually be more than what the car payment is, so it was out of the question at the time. Now, if you're not the type of person to get a car every 2 to 3 years, if you're like my grandmother and you buy a car and you keep it for 25 years until that thing completely hits the ground, then there's absolutely no reason to lease a car. In financing a car, the biggest pro is you get ownership. After paying X amount of dollars with interest, after 60 or 72 months, that car is yours. You're able to sell the car at any time, whether you're in your finance period or out of your finance period. That's something you need to weigh out if it makes sense to you, because again, you usually owe more than what the car is worth. Now, the flaws to buying or financing a car. The down payment on your car is gonna be much higher than opposed to a lease. The reason being is you're much more of a risk because you're gonna have to take that loan and carry it for 60 or 72 months, while on a lease, you can usually do it for 12, 24, 36, or even 48 months. Not only are you gonna be paying more at the time of the purchase of the car, but The second you drive that car off the lot, you already hit the famous
depreciation.
Cars are the worst thing you can put your money in for the most part. Every single day you look at it, it's lost a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And on top of it losing more and more every single day, to keep that car, you're still paying to keep it with interest. That's why it brings me to the ultimate reason why I personally don't think financing is always the greatest choice. You're always going to be upside down. Now let's talk about the depreciation aspect. If you were to purchase a car that was $20,000, you put 10% down, you're financing approximately $18,000 at the average 4.5% interest rate. Now that car, in just 5 years, by the time you're done paying that car completely off, you would have paid $2,134.48. So now that the end of your term is over, you own your car outright, you're super happy about it, super pumped about it, that car is maybe worth $7,600 to $8,000. In being conservative with the $7,600, you would have lost $14,534.48. That is absolutely insane. Again, if you are the type of person that's gonna hold this car for 15, 20, 30 years, then by all means. But if you know you're gonna get a car soon, if you know you're that type of person, you need a new car every 2 or 3 years, or even waiting to 5 years, to me financially, it just makes much more sense to go ahead and lease. So that pretty much wraps it up, the pros and cons. Let me know what you think. Are you a leasing person? Are you a financing person? And why? What type of recommendations do you guys have for videos in the future? Again, we touch all things that have to do with finance, business, or entrepreneurship. Don't forget, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more content. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.